Um, I just wanted to post a video real fast about some of the videos I've been watching, and a lot of them are Alphaomegasin videos, which I think are really cool, and I really think it's awesome to hear a gamer that's coming out and and bitching about this Call of Duty Gears of War, these FPS uh, fads uh, that they're so big right now. And Halo started it. Halo started making it over the top, and we started out with GoldenEye. GoldenEye was the first really good first-person shooter that I remember. That was yeah. Of course, there's Doom and Quake, but there's those. But GoldenEye, and sit down, three of your friends, Nintendo 64, the biggest TV you could find, since you had to share a piece of the screen. Uh, which I played it on a 13-inch with three other friends, and just go paintball mode with big heads, or big heads and golden gun mode, or no weapons mode, just go through and beat each other up. Uh, just fuck each other up. Uh, just, don't get me wrong, Halo, I have Halo. I have Call of Duty. I can't remember which Call of Duty, and I have Gears of War 1 and 2. Um, and Bioshock, but I completely agree. I want to see Resident Evil like the first three were, and Code Veronica, especially the first one. See, I'm actually surprised how many people I found out like the second one better. I guess because of the bigger scale and it does look a little better, but good. And the fact you could have two characters, you could play uh, two alternate scenarios, scenario A and scenario B. I like all those things, but the first Resident Evil had the most scares. Um, for example, the dog jumping through the window in the original one, where it just barrels through the window in the yellow hallway room with the things that you got a couple things you can push, and there's ammo underneath it. They did it again in the remake, but they didn't do it right. They had the first time you go through it, the glass cracks. You hear something hit the glass, and the glass cracks. Then the next time you come through, it jumps through the window. Um, why they did that? Why they didn't do it the same exact way? Or make it like the third or fourth time you go through there. I've seen games do that. You have to go through the same room 3 or 4 times before something happens. Uh, just change it all together, not have it crack, not have you prepared for it. Of course, you're already prepared for it if you played the original Sega Saturn and PlayStation. Uh, you know it's going to happen. But there's, it's still, you go years without playing it, and then you play it, and it happens. It's the first time you've seen the dogs, actually seen the dogs in gameplay mode. Uh, which is really fucking awesome to me, anyways. Cause it had you it's like first time you've seen a hunter. Um, then you had then they did which is funny actually hearing somebody talk about these a lot. Um, I never really played it that much. I was really young when it came out, and I remember it, and I remember having cool cutscenes. That's how I remember it. It had some awesome cutscenes. And I tried to play it on ROM. I tried to play it on an emulator and ROM, and it just, I can't. Yeah, I just can't get into it. I can't play it. Which really sucks. I've always wanted to actually play through it. I'll get over it, and eventually I will sit and deal with it and play it, deal with the slow crap and play it. Um, he mentions Clock Tower, which is a game I never really cared much for. Like, it definitely puts you, like, on edge, and definitely like, go, as you're trying to click to get the hell out of the room as the big dude with the scissors is coming at you. Uh, 2, I don't remember 2 at all. I don't think I've ever played a 3. I just recently found out there was a part 3. But, um, okay, Scooch, come on. Um, but Capcom really said survival horror isn't, like, it's dead? Yeah. Explain to me why so many people still collecting gold Resident Evils. The GameCube, mm, the GameCube versions, and the Saturn version, and the PC versions, and the handheld versions too, and the handheld versions. Uh, it's by far not good. And then they kind of tried to do the act like certain games are survival horror to me. Uh, I really like Resident Evil 4. I thought the third person view is was a good job. I thought it was a good idea. It was a cool idea. That way you can still see your character. It made moving a little bit easier. I still miss the tank controls. I miss 1 through Code Veronica. I like M0 and the remake for 1. And I really liked them. See, do I agree that the 4th one is the best one? Why so many people think it's the best one? It's not. The Granados are cool. Adding them was really cool, but I still want to see zombies and hunters and giant spiders and just the shit that makes you sit and go in the dark around every corner. You're as soon as you walk in the room, you just stand there. Once you get in the door, you're already holding the button to hold your gun up, and you just stand there, don't move, so you can hear if there's footsteps of anything or anything groaning and moaning around the corner that you can't see, which added to the fear. And it was, when it says it's about the environment, uh, and the music, and one of my favorite quotes is an Alfred Hitchcock quote. It's, fear is not in the bang, it's in the anticipation of. It's in anticipation, which is true. The fact that you don't know what's around that corner, and you're just so worried something's around that corner, especially when you're low on health and you're low on ammo and you don't have anything to heal yourself with or to reload your weapons with, and you walk into a room and you're just like, what do I do? Should I go? Should I stay? Because you just left the room a couple rooms back that you had to kind of run from. Which doesn't happen too often for me because I've played Resident Evil games, and the first one came out and I played it on the Saturn, and that was 20 years ago, and a few years. And it's funny, everyone's saying 98. 96 is when part 1 came out. Came out in 96. Um, Maybe it was 98, but I thought part 2 was 97, 98. Yeah, yeah, it had to have been. Uh, I'm gonna look at something. I gotta see the original release date. 96. Yeah, I thought so. 96. I thought so. Anyways, 3 more years, I'll be 20 years. 20 years in 3 years. In 3 years, I'll be 27 years old. And well, you gotta think when it came out. It came out before my birthday. My birthday is in October. So I was pretty sure it did. So I was 6 or 7 years old the first time I played this game. Um, as a kid, it really, really made me uneasy. Just over the top uneasy. Uh, and then they had little cool Easter eggs, like if you try to open the front door in the mansion, and the dog would stick its head in and at you, and it would make you jump if you didn't know it was going to happen. And the door slammed. You slam the door, then after that, it says it's too dangerous to go outside. The new one, the dog just jumps in. It just jumps in. It doesn't. Uh, there's no bang in it. It doesn't. It doesn't make you jump. Um, I think the way they did it originally was cool. The original intro, the live action intro, I wish they would have done with the B-rated actors. I don't know. I like it. I think it's cool. I think they should have just, made the zombies and the zombie dogs look better, and just made it look high budget, but keep that kind of B-rated feel. And I don't care. Even the new ones have that B-rated acting. Shabba! All overreacting. They stuck with that at least. It's one of the things people love about Resident Evil. It's one of the things I feel have made it. Made it creepy. Uh, to me, anyways. I had a funny moment. I was playing part 3 when I was a kid, or 2 when I was a kid, and it was when it first came out. This is my first time beating this one, and I'm playing it, and it's all dark in my living room. I got blankets on the windows. I hung like blankets on the windows to make it dark in there, and uh, so it was. I had it pretty dark in there. I had thick like, comforters on there, and as soon as it happened to be in the part and something made a noise and the music went boom, I heard something go bam in my fireplace, and I jumped up, and uh, you know, my heart was beating, and I was looking at the game, and looking, I could still hear something moving in the fireplace, and so we had a board, because we used our fireplace in the winter, so all summer, since for the air to stay in there, we had a board that fit perfectly in the square, that blocked the whole square off. I pulled it out, and looked in, and there was a fucking pigeon. A pigeon fell in my fireplace. So I put a towel over him, and I took him out and made sure he was okay, and uh, we held him until his wing was broken. We nursed him back to health till his wing wasn't broken. Then we let him go. Um, but the fact that that game had that atmosphere to make you jump. Resident Evil Zero. I was playing Resident Evil Zero with a couple of friends, and I've always had stereos, one way or the other. I've always had a stereo to hook up and play my games to. And um, when it was just me and my mom, we lived in a 4-bedroom house at the time. So I turned one of the rooms into my living room. I put a couch in there, my TV in there, my games, my stereo. Um, so I could have my own area to have people come over and game and whatever. So we didn't bother my mom. And it was 2, 3 in the morning. Had been playing, had been up all night. Uh, so, but we had speakers on the windows. I had them leaned on the windows because I hooked up 2 extra speakers. That had, it was the old 1970s Pioneer, my grandpa's, but that motherfucker jammed. I had big Magnavox speakers, that big subwoofers and tweeters in them. They sounded great. And then I had my rear. I had a little speaker rig kind of as my center, which was just 2 little RCA's. And then in the back I had, um, I knew I had 2 sides rigged somehow. And then I had rears rigged. And it distinguished right from left. So, it was cool. And it may not have been like DTS Pro Dolby Digital, but it still sounded good. It sounded good to watch a movie to, to listen to music to. That damn thing was loud. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. A stereo 20 years ago, 30 years ago was louder than today's. Mine right now is supposed to be like 1100 watts. And yeah, I have turned it up full blast and easily can take it because those little bitty speakers. If I was to take my old MTSs that I used to have, or my Magnavoxes, and hook that up to that, then it would jam. It would blow you out of this room probably. And it's not the amps that I think are weak, it's those little ass speakers. I'm almost willing to bet if I put a 400, my MTSs were 400 watts each. Yeah, the subwoofers and the tweeter and my Magnavoxes, I think, were 320 watts each or something like that. Maybe they were that together. I don't really remember, but I'm pretty sure they were each. So they had 12s and 10. A 12 was 10 or 6, and a little one like this plus a tweeter on the top, and no speakers. The speakers don't compare nothing to those speakers. They were so, they were clear. They were anyway, that's not the point. But it just happened to be shit. It just happened to be in a spot where somebody jumped through a window, and I had them leaned on my window so it would make my windows rattle. Cause I liked the way it sounded. And we're just sitting there, we're all sucked in, like, you know, Resident Evil is the cool thing about Resident Evil. It's not only fun to play, it's fun to watch. It's great to watch somebody play Resident Evil. Just, and to watch them, like, their reaction to things. Uh, but as soon as this thing bashes through the window, my window rattles, and you hear it from behind. And with the window rattling, a friend of mine, he jumped off the couch and turned around. It scared the shit out of him. And he was an 18-year-old man. So, uh, you jump. That's what you do. You jump. Resident Evil makes you jump. the old ones anyways. If you never played them or you haven't played them 100 times like I have and know them like the back of your hand, I could sit in like 6 hours and beat the first 3 Resident Evils easily. Maybe 8 because it's been a while, but I could do it. Uh, Code Veronica X is kind of a bitch. Uh, I'm going to actually think out what actually kind of took me a bit to beat uh, that bitch Veronica. What's her name? Her name isn't Veronica. The fucking virus's name, Veronica. Uh, what the hell is her name? Oh, crazy twin bitch. Uh, she is a pain in the fucking ass. To me, anyways. I thought she was annoying when she's flying around trying to shoot her ass. Yeah. And what is it with Chris ending up and getting captured or having to be saved? Is he like the damsel in distress? They even did it in the movie. They put him in a fucking cell in the movie. Um, anyways, this is a huge deal to make them like they used to be. Did the movies influence this in any way? Because they were more action, which we all knew. Come on, we all knew. It's directed by Paul W. Anderson. It's Paul Anderson directed and produced it or whatever, and Jeremy Bourne. Paul Anderson did Alien versus Predator, which I liked a lot. I like both of them a lot, but I like the Resident Evil movies. I don't not like them, but I remember back in the late '90s they were throwing around the idea of George Romero doing it. Like 99, 2000, they were throwing around George Romero making Resident Evil. That would have been fucking awesome. And Paul Anderson, he did Mortal Kombat. Come on, he's an he's an action movie. He's not horror. Um, so we automatically knew these movies weren't going to be what we had wanted them to be since the first time a fucking Resident Evil movie was announced. Um, you know, Resident Evil 2 was out and was coming out, and they were throwing around the idea of a Resident Evil movie. Because I remember for a fact because I was playing Resident Evil 2, I beat Resident Evil 2, I fell in love. I fell in love with it after the first one, but I really fell in love with it after that. And I got hooked on it, and as a kid, like, I draw, so I was drawing out, like, Resident Evil 3 like, logos and title screens, and, because I really thought I was gonna, I guess, write the next Resident Evil and send it to them. Uh, which I still think would have been pretty fucking cool. Because, like, all you see is buildings. Like, buildings. Like, why are there no houses? You know, like, I wanted to see, like, to be walking down the road and somebody being pulled out of their window in their house or drug out of their houses and shit like that. I think would have been way more chaos to see than just zombies walking around, and a few times people get eaten by these zombies. uh, I think it would have been more menacing. It's one thing I actually really like about part 5. I like when you see the girl where she's like, ah, and there are like 3 of them dragging her ass off. I thought that was really cool and done really well. And to be able to like see it, like them dragging her ass, and it was really cool to me. It was what I had wanted to see for a while in a Resident Evil game, basically. Just Uh, the wrong kind of music too. The music was so much better than the old ones. They're all like, and back then they had to like, just very, very simple and yet very awesome and very creepy music that always had you on edge when you were playing these games. Um, but really, it's dead. Survival horror is dead. Okay, Resident Evil, I understand. I know a lot of like FPS fans, like since Resident Evil 4 came out, have jumped on the Resident Evil bandwagon and have kind of been like, yeah, you know, oh, finally a Resident Evil game. I remember sitting at GameStop, and when 4 came out, before I had even got to play it, I heard people saying, oh, it's finally a Resident Evil game I can play, and it's by far the best one, and, I never thought I'd find a good Resident Evil game. People saying shit like this. Oh, Resident Evil 4 is not the best one. Um, in my opinion, the first one is the best one. To me, the first one is still the best one, the original one. Uh, it was gorier. Part 2 had its moments, but I don't know, like, uh, Alphaomegasin, or, sorry, man, yeah, Alphaomegasin, I don't know why it sounded wrong to me. He mentions Wesker when Tyrant sticks his claw through him. That was fucking awesome. I remember being like, whoa! Just thinking it was one of the coolest things I had ever seen. Wesker, who was supposed to be the villain, the in-control person, and you just watched Tyrant claw him and throw him down. Now I think he does like, and there's like barely any blood in the GameCube remake. He does it in the original one, and it's just blood going, uh, which was really cool, and it would happen. If you stuck, was it 3, 4 claws through somebody's torso, pick them up like this to them, the blood is going to spray out. It's going to. Uh, I don't like the Hunters. See everyone brag about the remake so much. I like it. Not that I don't like it. I like a lot of the close. I like the little daggers and the tasers and all the little counter attacks you can do. And I like some of the new puzzles, and I like the Crimson Heads. I like that, actually. I really like that. Because like eventually you learn how to tell when they were going to get up. You look at their claws and their head, and you should be like, he's going to get up if I get any closer to him. So let me prepare or go the other way for now. I've actually found out sometimes if you sneak up really slowly and you have your lighter and shit on you, you can set them on fire. They won't get up. And you can just take them out and you don't have to worry about them. It very, very rarely works. I think I've had it work twice, maybe 3 times. But anyways, my point is they had the intro. I did not care for. It was actiony. It wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't creepy like the original bad acting intro, live action intro was, which I really liked. I still really like that intro. That's how the movie should have been done. Uh, of course, with a big budget and well done special effects and uh, up to date, stuff. But like the way it felt, you could, feel the tension. And when he picks up the gun and the arm is hanging on it, and all of that. But and I really liked the intro because to me it had an Evil Dead feel to it. It reminded me of the Evil Dead movies. The screaming, the camera angles, is zoomed up into the faces, things like that. I really enjoyed. Uh, um, then you had the other thing I didn't like about it is you had, what is it? Number one, it's easier. Tyrant's escape was way cooler in the PlayStation 1. As soon as so his heart beating, he just starts hitting the damn window. And the fact that it doesn't break in one or two hits, because you know it's coming, you're just like, just come on. After the second, third hit, you're so nervous, so, your adrenaline is pumping, so you just want to get it over with. You're like, just come out and kill me already. Come on, just come here and kill me. And then he breaks through, and you're like, oh god. Uh, that's the feeling I miss from Resident Evil games. And 6, I checked it out a little. I've gotten to, like, play first zombie. Uh, and, but so far, from what I've seen of it, I like it. The zombie fucking, it's all dark and gloomy, and it seems less actiony. So far, I like it. I don't know. I guess you gotta play through it more. But like my brother said, Leon's story he likes it a lot. But Leon's story is what he likes the most. Um, I and Operation Raccoon City. I think it's a cool little extra to have. I think it should have been like $30 brand new though, because of as like just a little side thing to pick up some extra money, like Resident Evil Survivor and things like that. Outbreak. Because I think it's cool, and you can turn into a zombie and munch on your teammates. I think it's we've been wanting that for how long, where you can be the zombie, hunt down your friends, uh, which I think is what's the best aspect of it, honestly. Like the hits it takes to kill fucking humans is annoying. Well, I know I shot that motherfucker 20 times. He's still coming at me. Uh, it's ridiculous. And then they had this one part in it where, like, you have to fight, like, 200 lickers while getting items and then unlocking this door. And, oh my god. It's a bitch. It's not easy. Like, you might as well just run around, grab the shit, and go. Kill when they're in your way, kill them. But other than that, don't go out of your way to kill them because they just keep coming. Uh, I learned it the hard way. Yeah. Um, don't, you know, Capcom, please don't ruin Resident Evil. Please don't. And bring a clone back of Wesker or something, or let that have been a clone, or don't take Wesker away. He's your main villain. You're the villain everybody knows, the villain everybody likes. He's a fucking dick, and and he's not so much of a villain as Twisted. Uh, he's, building a new world from the ashes, as he says. Anyways, so he has like, that's I like to call the Hitler syndrome. Thinks he's doing something good for the world. Doesn't think he's evil. Uh, and I think that's cool. That's what I like about him. That's what I like about Magneto. That's what I like villains like that. I like, the villain who thinks he's doing good, but is actually evil as hell type thing. No, evil's in the eye of the beholder, that whole thing. But the name, like, I know it's been called Resident Evil over here for 20 years. Change it to Biohazard. Release it over here as Biohazard. It's a much cooler name than Resident Evil. Really, it is. It makes more sense too. Biohazard. When I first found out it was called Biohazard in Japan, it's like, that is cool. Why isn't it called that here? And I never knew why. I never looked up why or anything. So, yeah, it's an awesome name. Biohazard. It fits. All the aspect, and it's the name of an awesome band. And it's an awesome symbol, and just all around, call it Biohazard. Re- the first one we just had a reboot of, and people want a remake of the first one already. We don't need another remake of the first one. Redo the second one. Redo the second one. Make it pretty much add more content. And instead of making it where you can beat it in 2 hours, make it where the shortest that you can beat it is like 4 to 6 hours. And that's with knowing where exactly everything is. Um, you know, a game to me, your first time beating it should take you at least 10 hours. Just that makes it enjoyable. You got quite a bit of hours in there, then you can go through and beat it in harder difficulty, or find more items or whatever and beat it faster. You always want to better your time, especially Resident Evil. That's what I loved about where it tells you how long it took you to beat it, your rank, how many times you saved. The fact that saving brings your rank down still pisses me off, though. I'm a saver. Every time I can save a game, I save it. I've been far. I've been far. When I was attempting to get my S rank in Resident Evil 2. You have to beat it without one save. You cannot save it not one time to get an S rank. You have to get all the files, and you have to beat it in like 2 or 2.5 hours. And I was maybe 20 minutes from beating it. I was, I was in the lab, I was doing the this part, and the power cut off. And I was just like, why does it matter how many times I save it? How does that bring my skill level rating down? Because saving is for shit like that, not just to come back and continue. What about people who can only play like 10, 20 minutes at a time and then they have to come back later? So, saving, you should be able to save as much as you fucking want. The typewriter. I love the typewriter. Bring the typewriter back. Something about that typewriter was cool. You did it. They did it up to the fourth one. They did it from 1 to 4. And then the 5, they were like, oh, we don't need that anymore. We don't need trunks anymore either, even though it was kind of cool. Okay, I kind of like playing through like the hard mode when the trunks aren't connected, where like if you left it in the trunk in this room and you're all the way over here, then you have to go here for that item. I like that as a harder mode. I think that's not a bad idea. But I like the trunks. Having somewhere to leave the item. Taking that out of Resident Evil 5 was just stupid to me. Like, I can't just drop it, pick it up later? I can't put it in a crate? I gotta destroy it? I gotta throw it away? Why? That's, uh, I recently seen Resident Evil Damnation. Yeah, Damnation. And I liked it. I thought it was really cool. I like the dude controlling the lifters. I like that whole idea, and I really liked. I really liked Degeneration. I'm not sure why I like it so much, but I really like it. I just, it looks like the Dreamcast and PS2 graphics, kind of, a little better, but mostly that's what it reminds me of. They could have done better. Resident Evil 6, they could have made it look like Resident Evil 6 does, or Operation Raccoon City, and it would have been much, much cooler. But it was still cool. I'm sure there wasn't much money that went into them. The second one looked a lot cooler than the first one, so the first one was probably really low budget. They probably didn't think it was going to do like it did. That a lot of people was going to go out and buy it, because they didn't even release it in the movies, which is just stupid. Uh, the video game movies they need to release in the movies, they never do. What the fuck is up with that? Like, uh, I don't know how many gamers agree with me, but Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, why wasn't it not released in the movies? And why was it like 10-20 minutes shorter over here than it was in Japan? If you want the full movie, you gotta watch in Japanese language subtitles, which I love it like that, so it doesn't bother me any. But, people who prefer the English dubbing, and, they lose dialogue, they lose their deleted scenes. You can go on the DVD and watch the deleted scenes. If you watch in Japanese, those scenes are in it. Because when it first came out in Japan, because it seemed to take ever to come. Well, actually, I don't even think it was out yet, funny enough, at all. But dude I was in school with, I was in high school with, he burnt me Final Fantasy, he burnt me Advent Children. There was no subtitles, but it was still cool, it was worth it. Watching Japanese. And then when I bought it on DVD, it took me like a week or two to find it. Everywhere I went, it was sold the fuck out. Finally, I went to the Walmart and I was like, oh, I found it, I found it. It was like 15 bucks. I don't think it was 20 bucks. I think it was only 15. It was 15 bucks. Anyways, I had to buy it. I bought it, took it home, and I watched it. I actually watched it in English. And I was like, why does this seem different? Then I watched in Japanese, and I was like, yeah. And all the special features, and which I love special features on DVDs. That's my thing. DVDs and Blu-rays, they should have massive amounts of special features and telling you how they made it. And it's really cool watching the clip of Cloud in the Desert, and where he's standing by the Buster sword stabbed in the ground, and he's just standing there, and you look at it and you're like, wow, because it looks like a real person standing there. And then you see the director come through, and he's like, I take a few textures off that. This is called Final Fantasy. We want it to look computer generated, basically. We want it to seem fantasy. You know what I mean? Like, he explains it weird. Basically, that's what he means, though. Like, it's not a live-action movie, therefore, it shouldn't have to look like one. It doesn't need to look like one, because you could not tell that it was CG, and I'm good at picking out CG or paintings from photos and all those weird kind of shit like that. Like, I can almost spot a Photoshop picture from a mile away. Good ones. Good ones. Uh, I've seen some really good Photoshop pictures that you have to study to know. Uh, I like that. I think that was a cool idea. Hold on a minute. Oh, my point is, why don't these companies listen to what people want? I get what the fans want. Uh, let's say they take one night. They take a weekend and they release Final Fantasy VII Advent Children in the movie theater. And then it's been years, and I guarantee it will sell. People will eat that shit up. People will fucking go and see it. I'd go and see it. Look how many movies. Jurassic Park, man. Jurassic Park 3D, awesome movie. But you know, everybody's going to see it in 3D and to see it like redone, you know, digitally enhanced, and to see it on the big screen again. So it's not like really re-releases don't happen and they don't do well, because there's plenty of them that do. They put Titanic back in the movies and it banged. They had it in the first, back in when it came out, it was in there for 6 months. And don't even get me on Titanic being the top grossing film. No movie has made more than the Titanic. Well, the Titanic was also in there for 6 months. I'm sure opening night, The Dark Knight crushes it. I'm sure it crushes it. Cause I'm my opening night to see The Dark Knight. Midnight, when it was released, 6 rooms, full, absolutely packed, not a fucking ticket left. And I pre-ordered my tickets, and it was full of people. And of course, you know, Heath Ledger's death had a lot to do with that, but a huge amount had to do with the Joker. On that whole thing. You know, everybody's seen the way he played the Joker. We've seen clips, and we heard him do the laugh. And for me, anyways, that's when I knew like he's gonna do a really good job. Rest in peace, Heath Ledger. Give us the best Joker we've ever had. A mix of all Jokers. You know, he was a little Mark Hamill, he was a little Cesar Romero, he was a little comic book Joker, and it just all rolled together so nice. Plus his own thing, like the weird little quirks, like the shit. The I thought was cool. I don't know why. I think it's weird, so it's cool. The Joker's weird, so. Of course, I love his Scar story. I like the way he looks. I like that the makeup's not perfect. You know, I like that it's gritty, and uh, that's what we need. We need a Resident Evil to be redone. Bring us. You know, Resident Evil 2 and 3 worked. And Code Veronica. Okay, you know these things worked. You know it worked with that setup. So, do a from scratch remake like the first one. Don't remake the first one. I don't see the point. It still looks great to me for the, especially when it came out. It was great. It looked great. Do not remake 0 or 1. I don't see the need. Like, I don't know. I don't think they need to be remade. Maybe in a few more years, you know, give us 2 and 3 and Code Veronica X remade. Then you can do 1 and then 0, as far as I'm concerned. Um, give us that old school horror back. Bring us those camera angles back, the picture-in-picture, as I like to call it, screams. I don't know, like, I really like the over the shoulder. I really like it, and I think it was an interesting thing to do for some Resident Evils, like, to bring it back, just change it up some, and give it a new feel, try something. Uh, tell me what you think.